Today I'm going to tell you, based on data collected from 500 couples around the world, what the average length of intercourse actually is. And I guarantee the answer is going to surprise you. Most men think they should be lasting way longer than what's actually normal, and that pressure is killing their confidence and ruining their sex lives. So stay with me, because what you're about to learn might completely change how you think about sexual performance. I'm Dr. Fiona Gray, your trusted men's health advisor. And before we dive into the data, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos on sexual health and confidence. All right, let's talk about the elephant in the room. In modern society, we spend so much time glorifying what sex should look like, how long it should last, and putting enormous pressure on performance porn has completely warped men's expectations. Social media makes it seem like everyone else is lasting for hours. And all this pressure can have a real detrimental impact on your confidence and your relationships. What you hear about sex is almost never accurate, particularly when it comes to how long men actually last in bed. So here's the truth, backed by real-time data on what the average length of intercourse actually is. Now, before I launch into the numbers, it's important to define what we're measuring here. In this particular study, they're talking about penetrative sex, specifically the time from initial penetration to ejaculation. In medical terms, we call this intravaginal ejaculatory latency time, or IELT for short. This does not include foreplay, kissing, oral sex, or anything else, just penetration to finish. And look, that doesn't mean that's what sex should mean for you. Sex is about the entire experience, the connection, the intimacy. But for the purposes of understanding what's actually normal versus what you think is normal, we need to define it clearly. So what do men think the ideal length should be? On average, men estimate the ideal length of penetrative intercourse to be about 16 minutes. 16 minutes. And they think the actual average, what most men are doing, is about 9 minutes. But here's where it gets interesting. The actual data tells a completely different story. Researchers studied 500 couples from around the world and asked them to use an actual stopwatch to time their intercourse from penetration to ejaculation. And what did they find? The average length was 5.7 minutes. Not 16 minutes. Not 9 minutes. 5.7 minutes. That's it. Now, there was a range. Some couples clocked in at 0.1 minutes, which, yes, indicates premature ejaculation issues. Others went as long as 55 minutes. But the average? Under 6 minutes. And interestingly, it varied by location. Turkey had the lowest average at 4.4 minutes, while the UK had the longest at about 10 minutes. So if you've been beating yourself up thinking you should be lasting 15, 20, 30 minutes, you need to hear this. Most men are lasting around 5 to 6 minutes. That's normal. That's average. And if you're hitting that range, you're doing just fine. Now, what do women want? Here's where it gets even more interesting. There's no perfect scientific study on this, but a poll of 4,000 women found that the average desired length of penetrative intercourse was 25 minutes. 25 minutes. So there's a gap between what's actually happening and what women say they want. But before you panic, here's what you need to understand. These numbers are highly variable from person to person. Some women genuinely want longer sessions. Others are perfectly satisfied with 5 to 10 minutes of penetration as long as the overall experience, including foreplay, connection, and attention to their pleasure, is good. The most important thing is that you and your partner are both satisfied. And that comes down to communication, not just duration. If you're lasting 5 minutes, but you're focused on her pleasure, paying attention to foreplay, and making her feel desired and connected, that's infinitely better than lasting 20 minutes while she's bored or uncomfortable. Now, if you are struggling with premature ejaculation, consistently finishing in under a minute or two, that's something worth addressing. And there are real, effective solutions for that. Pelvic floor exercises, which I've covered in other videos, can dramatically improve your control behavioral techniques, like the start-stop method, work for many men. And if needed, there are medications and topical treatments that can help. On the flip side, if you're taking an extremely long time to finish, consistently over 20 or 30 minutes, that can also be an issue. It might be related to medications you're taking, excessive porn consumption, desensitizing you, or other underlying factors. Either way, if duration is causing problems in your relationship, it's worth talking to a urologist. But here's the bottom line. The data shows that average penetrative intercourse lasts around 5 to 6 minutes. Not the 15 or 20 minutes you think you should be lasting. So stop comparing yourself to some impossible standard that doesn't even exist in reality. Focus instead on the overall quality of the sexual experience, the connection, the communication, the attention you're giving your partner. If you're hitting that average range, you're normal. If you and your partner are both satisfied, you're succeeding. And if there are issues, they're almost always fixable with the right approach, whether that's exercises, behavioral techniques, communication, or working with a healthcare provider. So here's what you need to remember. Most men dramatically overestimate how long sex should last. The real average is under 6 minutes of penetration. What matters far more than duration is the overall experience, the connection, and whether both you and your partner are satisfied. Stop putting so much pressure on yourself to perform like a porn star. Focus on being present, attentive, and connected. If you're struggling with premature ejaculation or taking too long to finish, and it's causing problems, talk to a urologist or consider seeing a sex therapist. These issues are common and they're treatable. You don't have to just accept them. Thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves because you're worth it.